What truly holds you back? Is it the situations in your life, the past, current challenges, or your own limiting mindset? Every day, we are overwhelmed by fears and uncertainties that make us believe there are insurmountable obstacles. But what if those obstacles could be broken? What if you could train your mind to see opportunities where there were once only challenges? The great masters of the past taught us that real power doesn't come from external circumstances, but from how we respond to them. The Stoics believed that mastering the mind was the greatest power one could achieve. It's not about controlling the world, but controlling yourself. When you train your mind, you don't just face difficulties, you become unbeatable. Discipline isn't a privilege for a few, but something everyone can develop. What happens when you start training your mind? You learn to turn challenges into growth, replace insecurities with confidence, rid yourself of paralysis, and move forward without fear. You become limitless not because there are no obstacles, but because you learn how to overcome them. Now, I'll show you 12 powerful steps to train your mind and change your life. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment, "I have a limitless mind," to affirm your commitment to this transformation. Let's dive into the 12 steps. Break the illusion. Your mind is your domain. The world you see is not reality, but a reflection of your beliefs and interpretations. You've been shaped by the stories of others, learning what's possible and what should be feared. But what if all of that is an illusion keeping you from the truth? The Stoics warned us about this illusion. Epictetus said, "It's not the things that disturb us, but our view of them." We live in a theater where the set was built before we questioned it. You see barriers, but are they real or just repeated beliefs? Your reality is shaped by your beliefs. If you believe you are weak or unworthy, you will never achieve what you want. Your mind creates chains, but it also holds the key to your freedom. Are you ready to see the truth? Imagine a man trapped in a cell, but the door was never locked. He believes it's impossible to escape until one day doubt arises, and he discovers the door is open. The veil of illusion is torn, and the truth appears. You live within a mental construct that can either be a prison or a castle. Stoicism teaches that the only control we have is over our perception. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If something external disturbs you, the pain comes from how you see it. You have the power to change this at any moment." This means that, while external circumstances may try to knock you down, they only have the power you allow them to. If someone offends you, the pain comes from your interpretation that it matters. The world is neutral. You give it shape. Breaking the illusion isn't easy, but it's necessary for true transformation. Living in your comfort zone is easier, but it also prevents your growth. The truth places responsibility on you. If you want to be free, you must abandon excuses and face your limitations, many of which are just shadows created by the mind. When the illusion breaks, you become limitless. Not because the world bends to you, but because you learn to adapt without breaking. You reinvent yourself, strengthen yourself, transform yourself, and change becomes something no longer feared. Prepare your mind for daily challenges. Each day is a quiet battle, not an external one, but an internal one. Our minds often oppose our deepest desires, seeking comfort in procrastination, doubt, or weakness. Peace doesn't come from a single victory, but from daily victories. This is where mental strength becomes crucial, and Stoicism offers one of the most effective philosophies for training the mind. It teaches us that the biggest obstacle isn't the world, but ourselves. If we are ruled by emotions, procrastinate, or give in to fear, we become prisoners of our internal failures. Stoicism doesn't propose a life without emotions, but a life of self-control, where we know what is within our power and what isn't, achieving true mental freedom. The first step in transforming your mind is accepting that we are human, imperfect. We all have flaws, fears, and struggles, but by acknowledging them, we begin to overcome them. Virtue is not unattainable, but something to be practiced constantly, whether in actions, thoughts, or attitudes. Accepting that the internal struggle is part of our human condition is essential to facing life's challenges. Procrastination. Procrastination is one of the greatest obstacles we face on our journey. Sometimes we put off tasks or hide behind excuses instead of taking action. However, as the philosopher Seneca teaches us, time is our greatest wealth, and wasting it is losing our life. Procrastination isn't just about delaying what we need to do, but delaying our own growth. When we procrastinate, we avoid facing our fears and limitations. True power lies in taking immediate action, aligning our mind with the goal of overcoming challenges. Procrastination is a form of escaping discomfort, but true peace comes from committing to action, even when we're not motivated. The mind needs to be challenged, just like a muscle, to grow stronger. There is no progress without effort. Doubt. Another enemy that paralyzes us is doubt. The fear of making mistakes, insecurity, and the worry of failing can block us. While these feelings are natural, if left unchecked, they become a burden. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our actions, thoughts, and responses to situations. The future is uncertain, but that shouldn't make us hesitate. Acting with courage and determination, based on what we know is right, is the way forward. Epictetus said that our freedom lies in how we react to circumstances, and by acting with courage in the face of doubt, we start cultivating a winning mindset. Strength doesn't come from the absence of doubt, but from the ability to act despite it. The fear of failure is not weakness, but an opportunity for growth. When we face doubt and move forward, our ability to achieve expands. Weakness. Feeling weak is something common, especially when life demands more from us than we think we can give. But weakness isn't permanent. It can be overcome with practice and discipline. The key is understanding that weakness is just a perception, not a fixed reality. The body and mind can be strengthened to endure greater challenges. Mental endurance is built over time, starting with small victories each day. When we choose the harder, more challenging path, we're building our ability to face adversity. Over time, what once seemed impossible becomes part of our routine. However, mental endurance doesn't only come from practical action, but also from how we see the world and how we respond to it. Stoicism teaches us to accept what we can't change and focus on what is within our reach. Our attitude, perspective, and ability to act with purpose. A trained mind is not easily swayed by external circumstances, but faces life with clarity and a broader outlook. The daily battle is a choice. Every day, we have the chance to decide whether to move forward or give in to weakness. By choosing action, discipline, and courage, we create a new pattern of thinking and behavior. There are no limits to what we can achieve when we train our minds to be strong and resilient. The human mind is incredibly powerful, and with the right training, we can unlock its full potential. Overcoming procrastination, facing doubt with courage, and defeating weakness with discipline brings us closer to a stronger, limitless version of ourselves. The journey to a trained mind may be long and challenging, but it's full of rewards. By adopting the teachings of Stoicism and combining them with daily discipline, we can overcome life's obstacles and achieve true freedom and inner power. You are the architect of your own mind, even if you don't realize it. Every thought and belief you accept shapes your reality. The question is, are you consciously creating your reality, or just following a model imposed on you? Many people live with limiting beliefs without questioning them, which prevents the building of a strong, solid mindset. If you want to change your life, the first step is learning how to build your mind. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic masters, said that freedom begins by understanding what is within your control. Control over the mind is true power, and by training it, you can achieve transformation. Automatic thinking is a silent enemy that guides your life without reflection, limiting your potential. How you react to challenges doesn't reflect reality, but rather how you've been conditioned to see the world. If someone was taught to fear failure, they will see each mistake as a defeat. On the other hand, someone who sees failure as a growth opportunity will view every fall as a lesson. The key to changing your mind is becoming aware of the thoughts and reactions that arise. Don't live on autopilot, allowing random emotions and thoughts to dictate your actions. Just like an architect plans a building, you should plan how to think and react. Mental reprogramming requires discipline and intention. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, wrote daily to reinforce his principles and remind himself of what was important, knowing that his mind would be shaped by external influences without this effort. Building the mind starts with what you allow into it. The conversations, information, and ideas you consume every day are the building blocks for your mentality. If you feed on negativity, you will see the world in a bleak way. But if you choose to cultivate strength and wisdom, you will have a strong mind. Thought should not be a master, but a servant. When you control your thoughts, they become useful tools. The constant practice of resisting negative impulses strengthens the mind. Every time you choose reason over emotion, you strengthen your mental foundation. However, it's not enough to just avoid the negative. You must also build something positive to fill the space left behind. When you remove limiting thoughts, replace them with beliefs that propel your growth. Neuroscience proves that the brain can be reshaped throughout life, meaning you're not stuck in old thought patterns and can choose new ways of seeing the world. The mind you build defines the life you'll have. If you create a weak foundation, it will easily crumble. But by building a stronghold of conviction and self-awareness, nothing can tear you down. The true master of the mind doesn't fear challenges because they understand that they are part of the process. They don't fool themselves into believing it will be easy, as they know that growth requires effort. Accepting that the building process never ends and that there's always room for improvement is part of the journey. Resilience in the face of challenges. Life doesn't offer easy paths. Hardships are unpredictable and storms can arise at any time. The secret isn't in avoiding difficulties, but in how we respond to them. True greatness doesn't lie in being immune to challenges, but in how we face them. In the toughest moments, it's your mind that will determine your fate. Being strong doesn't mean being physically unbeatable, but cultivating resilience, the ability to bounce back after every fall. Stoicism offers valuable lessons for those who want to be unbreakable. True strength comes from controlling our reactions. Epictetus teaches that it's not the situations that affect us, but how we respond to them. This doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing emotions, but learning not to let them control us. When the storm hits, it's easy to give in to despair, anger, or frustration. But true strength shows itself when you choose how to react. Resilience begins with understanding that difficulties are an unavoidable part of life. Stoicism teaches us that suffering is an important teacher. Without hardship, there's no growth. Without obstacles, there's no overcoming. Every challenge presents an opportunity for progress. Resilience doesn't come from avoiding challenges, but from being strengthened by them. Seeing each challenge as a chance to grow makes you stronger every day. In a world full of uncertainty, the only thing we can control is how we respond. Circumstances may be tough, but the choice of how to react is in our hands. The true master of resilience isn't the one who avoids challenges, but the one who faces them with courage, learning from each, and moving forward with more strength. To become unbreakable, you need to train the mind. Just like muscles need exercise to get strong, the mind needs practice to become resilient. This involves daily habits that challenge comfort, such as reflecting on emotions, letting go of outcomes, and accepting that change is the only constant. When you allow yourself to feel sadness, frustration, or pain, but choose not to be overwhelmed by those emotions, you strengthen your mind. It's important to remember that life isn't linear. Setbacks are part of the path, and a person's greatness isn't in avoiding mistakes, but in how they rise after each one. Marcus Aurelius, one of the wisest emperors, said, "Happiness depends on us," reinforcing the idea that even in the face of the toughest challenges, inner peace is found by those who choose to maintain control over their emotions. Resilience is not rigidity, but mental flexibility. Knowing how to adapt to changes, adjust your strategies, and understanding that failure isn't the end, but the beginning of something new, is essential. Being resilient means learning to adjust without losing your essence. Resilience is a constant practice of adaptation and learning, not a fixed trait. The path to true freedom isn't the absence of problems, but the ability to choose how to live despite them. When you train your mind to be resilient, you realize that by controlling your internal reactions, the external world loses the power to shake you. Your mind becomes a fortress, and nothing happening around you can destroy you. This process takes time, but it's one of the most powerful changes you can make. By cultivating resilience, you not only prepare yourself to face challenges, but to thrive with them. Every obstacle is an opportunity, and every difficulty, an invitation to grow. The key to resilience is understanding that life is not about what happens, but how you respond to it. Life becomes a fertile ground for self-awareness when you embrace every experience with courage and train your mind not to get lost in the chaos. Resilience is the key to a fuller life, where the impossible becomes possible. When you train your mind to be unbreakable, you realize that nothing can stop your growth. You are the master of your reality, and by taking control, you become limitless. The biggest obstacle to your growth is yourself, not the world or external challenges. The true enemy is within your mind, in the voice of the inner saboteur. It's fueled by fears, insecurities, and societal conditioning, and grows stronger every time you accept limitations or back down in the face of challenges. This voice emerges whenever you're about to move forward, placing doubts and uncertainties in your path. The Stoics, like Epictetus, teach us that true freedom begins when we are able to command ourselves. The inner saboteur isn't an absolute truth, but a reaction driven by fear. It can be defeated by action. Every time you face a fear or act despite doubt, that voice weakens. Over time, you'll notice that it loses its power over you. The Stoics believed that the mind could be trained to resist fear by exposing oneself to discomfort. Marcus Aurelius knew that the greatest challenges weren't external, but internal. And he said, if you're suffering from something external, it's not the thing itself that troubles you, but your perception of it. The key is to recognize this voice and understand that often it's just a lie disguised as caution. The human mind tends to prefer the comfort zone, and the inner saboteur uses this to keep you stuck in the same place. But by postponing your dreams and staying in your safety zone, you lose opportunities for growth. To overcome this, you must challenge every negative thought, asking yourself, why not? Or, who decides that? Each small victory over this voice strengthens your confidence and frees your mind from doubt. When you begin to act, doubts lose their power and confidence grows. The silence of doubt is replaced by action, and hesitation is replaced by the power of decision. The greatest enemy that resides in your mind can be defeated, and the greatest victory comes when you overcome it. Turning pain into power. Everyone faces pain at some point in life, whether from loss, failure, or another hardship. Often, the common reaction is to try to escape or distract oneself, but there's a better choice: turning pain into strength. The Stoics understood that pain isn't a punishment, but an energy that can be used for growth. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not over external events." Pain can either break or strengthen a person, depending on the mindset adopted. The difference isn't in the intensity of the suffering, but in how you handle it. Pain is like fire in a forge. It can destroy or transform. When you choose to use pain as fuel for growth, it becomes an ally. The Stoics practiced amor fati, which means love of fate. They accepted that suffering was part of life, and instead of resisting it, they used it as an opportunity to learn. As Seneca said, fate leads the one who accepts it, but drags the one who resists. True strength doesn't come from comfort. No one becomes strong living a life without challenges. That's why the Stoics prepared mentally for pain, knowing that it could either be destruction or growth, and the choice was always in their hands. If you carry pain or weight, ask yourself what you'll do with it. Will you continue to lament, or will you use the pain to grow and become stronger? When you look at pain with gratitude and learning, it stops being a prison and becomes an opportunity for evolution. Every pain you face can turn into strength and resilience, and in the end, you'll realize that what seemed to destroy you actually made you stronger. Mediocrity creeps in gradually, starting with small decisions that seem harmless, like delaying plans or accepting the bare minimum. Over time, it becomes an invisible prison where attempts at change are drowned out by excuses and complacency. The problem with mediocrity is that it's comfortable and feeds off the human desire to avoid discomfort and cling to what is already known. This comfort, however, erodes ambition and personal growth, creating a prison that prevents development. The Stoics warn about the dangers of living on autopilot. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't waste time discussing what a good man should be one." This quote criticizes procrastination and inaction, highlighting that mediocrity thrives where there's indecision and fear of facing challenges. The lazy mind avoids effort and seeks immediate satisfaction, not realizing that each small choice shapes destiny. To break the cycle of mediocrity, it's necessary to face discomfort and embrace growth as something essential, which requires self-discipline and awareness. Complacency, which offers temporary relief, is deceitful. Not making an effort today seems harmless, but over time, each choice for an easy life strengthens the chains of mediocrity. The Stoics, like Epictetus, emphasize that greatness comes from daily discipline, not worrying about what's outside our control, but focusing on the actions we can shape. He asked, "How much longer will you wait to demand the best of yourself?" Waiting for perfect conditions is a destructive habit that keeps mediocrity standing. The fear of failure also feeds this cycle. Many people prefer mediocrity to facing the risk of failure. However, the true failure is never trying enough to discover what you're capable of. The undisciplined mind creates excuses, saying there's no time or that the situation is too hard. These excuses are lies that keep people stuck in mediocrity. Greatness requires sacrifice, discipline, and consistency. There's no transformation without effort, but the pain of growth is temporary, while the weight of mediocrity is carried for a lifetime. Time passes, and with each day that you don't act, mediocrity strengthens. But by facing challenges and pushing limits, the cycle of mediocrity begins to break. The key is making decisions that refuse to live below your potential. Mediocrity doesn't arrive suddenly. It sneaks into daily habits disguised as rest or caution. It steals your ambition until one day you realize you've lived below what you could have. Time doesn't wait for those who hesitate. With each choice of conformity, you move further away from who you could be. However, there is always a breaking point where you can choose to act and no longer live below your potential. Every step will be a challenge, every action a building block for something greater. Mediocrity cannot coexist with discipline. When you demand more from yourself, it disappears. The result is a free mind, a strong spirit, and a life worth living. Uncertainty and moving in the dark life never comes with guarantees. No matter how much you plan, tomorrow will always be uncertain, which causes fear. The real enemy is not uncertainty, but the paralysis caused by the fear of not being able to control the future. If you wait for answers before acting, you'll never take the first step. For the Stoics, the key is to accept that we don't control events, only our reactions. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have control over your mind, not over the events." For many, uncertainty is seen as a risk to avoid, but it is also a door to transformation. Every advancement requires facing the unknown. The untrained mind recoils from the darkness, but the trained one moves forward. The fear of the unknown can't be eliminated, but it can be controlled through action. Taking action, even without seeing the end of the path, is always more powerful than staying still, waiting for certainty. Resistance to uncertainty comes from the desire for control, but life is unpredictable. Greatness comes to those who let go of the illusion of control and learn to navigate uncertainty with confidence. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The fear of uncertainty is a suffering anticipated, and the mind needs to change its relationship with the unknown, seeing it as a possibility, not an obstacle. Clarity comes with action, not with waiting. Life doesn't offer immediate answers, but action, trust in the unknown, and discipline can guide you, even in uncertainty. There's a paradox here. The more you avoid uncertainty, the weaker you become. The more you expose yourself to it, the stronger you grow. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. Each time you face the unknown, something within you changes. Your mind expands, your confidence grows, and your tolerance for discomfort strengthens. Those who wait for guarantees live a small life, never daring to explore what could be. But those who embrace uncertainty learn to adapt, see opportunities where they once saw risks, and find strength where they once felt fear. The limitless mind doesn't need clear paths. It knows the only constant is change and learns to move with it, not resist it. The unknown will always be ahead, no matter what you do. Running from it won't make it disappear, only delay the inevitable. Life is made of changes, unexpected challenges, and moments when nothing seems right. But it's in this uncertainty that growth happens. Every great achievement in history began with uncertainty. Every breakthrough, every discovery started with someone willing to take a step without knowing where it would lead. Those who wait for certainty before acting remain stuck in the same place because certainty never comes before action. The free mind doesn't close itself off from fear, but learns to live with it. It doesn't try to eliminate uncertainty, but prepares to face it and move forward. That is freedom. That is power. When you understand that you don't need guarantees to act and can move forward without seeing the whole path, you realize nothing can stop you. Stop waiting. Time won't stop for you. The only moment that matters is now. Take the first step, even without knowing what comes next. The path will unfold with movement. So, the question isn't whether uncertainty will disappear, because it will always be there. The question is, will you wait for everything to make sense, or will you move forward, even without all the answers? The future belongs to those who have discipline and face uncertainty with courage. True strength comes from daily effort and self-mastery. A warrior is not forged on the battlefield, but in constant preparation, winning the internal battle of the mind before facing any external enemy. Many people are ruled by immediate desires and seek comfort, avoiding effort. They don't realize that true freedom comes from the ability to master themselves. The Stoics, like Epictetus, taught that real freedom lies in resisting impulses and not being a slave to momentary desires. The undisciplined mind is like a ship drifting, guided by any emotion or external influence. The lack of discipline prevents the achievement of great goals because the person lacks the inner strength to reach what they want. Discipline isn't about motivation, but about doing what's necessary, even when you don't feel like it. It's about waking up early, following a plan, and resisting temptations. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, exemplified this discipline by choosing to live simply and refusing to be controlled by his own desires. He said that suffering doesn't come from what happens, but from our weakness in the face of circumstances. Discipline requires sacrifices, and this effort may be painful, but the lack of discipline costs much more. Those who give in to weakness reinforce the idea that they're incapable and live below their potential. The secret is that the more disciplined you become, the freer you are. True freedom comes from having control over yourself, choosing pleasures that build rather than destroy. Discipline isn't living without pleasure, but choosing the right moment to do what's hard, knowing that the rewards will come later. Training your mind is like forging a sword. At first, the metal is raw, but with time, it becomes strong and sharp. The weak give in to obstacles, while the strong persist. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who fall behind isn't talent, but the ability to keep going when everyone else gives up. Discipline is a continuous process, a daily battle against internal resistance. Every day, your mind will try to convince you to choose comfort, postpone tasks, or make excuses. The difference between those who achieve in life and those who stay stuck is how they respond to this resistance. Each act of discipline strengthens your mind, and each victory over laziness builds a strong character. Discipline is not only in the big moments but in the small details. Getting out of bed, working out without motivation, focusing on what matters. Over time, what once was hard becomes natural, and you become someone who acts without needing external motivation. This is freedom. This is power. Developing a strong mindset is essential. An unbreakable mind isn't shaken by difficulties. It doesn't mean being perfect, but practicing firmness every day, choosing not to break in the face of adversity. Stoicism teaches that our internal response is the greatest power we have. Marcus Aurelius said that inner strength is more important than external circumstances. The mind is the battleground. If you master yourself, nothing can control you. Building a strong mind is an ongoing process. Difficulties are not a burden, but an opportunity to grow and improve our resilience. When you see challenges as part of the growth process, your mindset changes. True mental strength is not being influenced by life's ups and downs. Instead of being governed by unstable emotions, a trained mind remains solid like a rock. Stoicism teaches us to detach from things we cannot control, such as others' opinions or unforeseen events. The control over our reactions is what gives us power and prevents us from being broken. To develop a strong mindset, self-control must be practiced. Our reaction to challenges defines who we are. If we allow our emotions to govern our actions, we'll be easily manipulated. But if we train our minds to act with clarity and confidence, even in tough times, we'll have the power to face any crisis. Being unbreakable doesn't mean not feeling pain, but knowing how to handle difficult moments. True strength is learning to accept pain as a natural part of life. Suffering, instead of being an enemy, should be seen as a teacher that shows us how to strengthen our mind. Each tough moment has something valuable to teach us about our ability to endure. A strong mindset is also linked to the idea that true freedom comes from mastering oneself. The world around us may be unpredictable, but our reaction to it is always a choice. This requires practice and dedication. We must learn not to be dominated by the highs and lows of life, but to live with inner balance. This can be achieved through reflection, meditation, and constant awareness of our thoughts and feelings. A trained mind knows how to ignore distractions and focus on what truly matters, our purpose, our values, and our vision. Having a strong mindset also requires facing our own fears. Often, what holds us back is the fear of failure or rejection. But we must understand that failure is part of the process. No great achievement comes without obstacles. Great leaders and philosophers faced enormous difficulties, but the difference between them and those who gave up was how they reacted to challenges. Fear is natural, but it shouldn't stop us. Instead of running from it, we must face it, knowing that it signals growth and overcoming. A strong mindset also involves accepting change. Life is fleeting. Nothing lasts forever. Those with a strong mind understand this and don't cling to extremes, accepting changes with ease. Accepting impermanence frees us from the need to control everything and helps us live in the present, enjoying each moment with wisdom. This view of life reminds us that we are responsible for how we live. We can't control circumstances, but we can always choose how to react to them. The strong mind is the one that remains firm in the face of problems, that learns, adapts, and grows from them. The goal is to create a resilient mindset, a mind that, even in the worst moments, remains unbreakable. Developing this mindset isn't easy, but it's extremely rewarding. It's not about avoiding challenges, but learning to remain firm no matter what happens. By training your mind not to be affected by circumstances, you create an inner power that nothing can break. You become unbreakable, not because you're perfect, but because you've learned to be flexible and deal with adversity with serenity. In the end, true freedom isn't the absence of problems, but the ability to face them with a trained mind. A strong, disciplined, and resilient mind is limitless. Be unbeatable and unshakable. Life is full of challenges, some small, others huge. What matters is not the intensity of the problems, but the resilience you've built. Being unbeatable doesn't mean avoiding fear or pain, but moving forward despite them. True strength comes from an unshakable will that no one can take away from you. The people who stand firm, even when everything seems to go wrong, are the truly unbeatable, because their decision to keep going comes from within, not from the circumstances. Being unbeatable doesn't mean not having fear, but acting despite it. Great figures in history faced failures and rejections, but they kept going. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, faced crises and wars, but kept his mind strong. Stoicism teaches that true strength comes from how we respond to events. Epictetus, a slave who became a philosopher, didn't choose his birth, but he chose how to react to it, showing that true freedom comes from within. The first step to being unbeatable is understanding that resistance doesn't depend on circumstances, but on how we face challenges. Life might throw stones in your path, but it's up to you to decide whether they become obstacles or stepping stones. The unbeatable turn difficulties into lessons, failures into opportunities, and pain into fuel. The human mind is adaptable, and with practice, it can work in your favor. True strength is not measured by achievements, but by the ability to get up whenever needed. Those who don't wait for the perfect situation act with what they have, because they know that life doesn't wait for those who hesitate. The perfect moment is when you choose to act, no matter the circumstances. That's what being unbeatable is, a spirit that doesn't surrender. Being unbeatable is a journey of persistence. Each difficulty overcome, each pain turned into a lesson, makes you stronger. Those who give up never experience this transformation, but those who persist discover that greatness isn't at the end, but in the journey. The difference between winners and those who fall behind is the refusal to quit. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, and Nelson Mandela spent years in prison before becoming a symbol of resilience. History is full of examples showing that the key is not giving up. Being unbeatable doesn't mean not feeling pain, but knowing how to use it as strength to keep going. The Stoics saw suffering as an opportunity to toughen the mind. Accepting pain and turning it into action is one of the greatest secrets to endurance. Those who can do this become unbeatable. Discipline is crucial in this process. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline builds empires. Getting up every day and pushing forward, regardless of your feelings, is what separates the strong from the weak. Every small act of discipline strengthens your mind. The journey to becoming unbeatable isn't easy and requires effort and sacrifice. Many give up, but those who persist discover a rare power, the power to not be held hostage by circumstances. This power turns the impossible into reality and changes destinies. When you realize this, nothing can stop you. Life can test you in many ways, but as long as there's will inside you, you will continue. What separates the successful from those who fall behind is not luck or talent, but the decision to keep going. The essence of being unbeatable is moving forward when everything points to stopping. True strength isn't just in muscles or intelligence, but in unshakable determination. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome through crises, wars, and plagues, but he didn't complain. He left behind a legacy of resilience, teaching that challenges aren't barriers but tests to strengthen the mind. Being unbeatable isn't about being insensitive or invulnerable, but knowing how to move forward despite fear, pain, and doubt. The path of those who refuse to stop is forged in challenges, where each fall teaches something and every mistake is an opportunity to grow. Stoic philosophy teaches that true power lies in our choices and discipline. The world may be unpredictable, but those who train their minds learn not to be shaken. Epictetus, who was a slave and became a philosopher, understood this better than anyone. He couldn't control his birth, but he chose how to react to his situation. Instead of being a victim of fate, he strengthened his mind, making it impenetrable. Being unbeatable is understanding that every difficulty brings a hidden chance. The most successful didn't get where they are by having an easy path. They faced many defeats, but they saw them as part of the process, not as an end. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Nelson Mandela spent years in prison before becoming a symbol of resistance. What connects these stories is not the lack of failures, but the decision not to be defeated by them. Training the mind requires more than desire. It requires discipline. Desire may start something, but consistency keeps everything moving. How many times have you wanted to change but gave up too quickly? Most people quit when resistance appears, but the greatest progress happens after the tough moments. The Stoics practiced negative visualization, mentally preparing for difficulties before they came. This isn't pessimism, but a strong mindset. Those who train their minds to understand that challenges will arise, but can be overcome, become unbeatable. The world may throw obstacles your way, but nothing can stop someone who has already decided to push through to the end. The mistake most people make is believing motivation will be enough. Motivation is like a flame that burns out quickly. What keeps a strong spirit is discipline. It's doing what's necessary, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is what separates dreamers from achievers. An unbeatable mind understands that fear is not the enemy. Fear is a signal that you're close to something important. The greatest achievements lie beyond what scares us. Those who retreat in the face of fear never reach greatness, but those who face it, even trembling, discover that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. And that decision is what turns people into legends. Mental resistance isn't only against external challenges, but internal ones too. Our mind is the greatest battleground. Doubt, insecurity, the inner voice telling us we're not good enough. This is part of the fight. But those who are unshakable don't listen to these thoughts. They train their mind to be led by them, not the other way around. Time passes for everyone. In a year, you could look back and see progress or excuses. The difference is in the daily choices. Every action, no matter how small, shapes the person you're becoming. If you want to be unbeatable, you have to act that way. Make tough decisions, let go of distractions, endure tough moments. If you do this, life will reward those who don't quit. Nothing can stop someone who's decided to keep going. This is the essence of resilience. This is the mark of legends. While others give up, the unstoppable keep going. While the weak surrender, the strong use obstacles as stepping stones. In the end, it's not what life throws your way, but how you choose to face it. Destiny belongs to those who don't quit. You've made it this far, and that says a lot about you. Few have the discipline and determination to make this change. Training your mind takes time, but every step will make you stronger and clearer. What once seemed impossible is now part of your journey. Now, I want to know, did you make it to the end? Comment "to the end" so I know who's truly committed. Where are you watching from? Tell me how far this message reached. If this resonated with you, like and subscribe to strengthen your mind every day. See you in the next video.